yesterday and how that image has changed since he left the game. Today in part 3 of our series, we look at Jordan's impact on Chicago and how the sports franchises of that city have been cursed by his departure. Here's Chris Conley on Chicago Blues.
Go for 3.
It's almost too good to be true.
He got it all. Unbelievable!
He's great in the clutch.
Jordan a drive. Fire.
He's a god. As simple as that.
In 1998, Michael Jordan and the Bulls stood atop the basketball world for the 6th time, and their swagger seemed to extend to the city of Chicago, which saw its own mix of street smarts, cutthroat competitiveness, and cosmopolitan sophistication reflected in Jordan.
After Michael Jordan, if you went into some little village in China and you asked them, what did Chicago mean to them? The first thing they'd say was the Bulls and Michael Jordan.
Oh, yes! Win! Michael Jordan saves the day!
We were very famous for Al Capone at one time. I think Michael's cleaned that issue up.
And I think that he made Chicago not just a tough town, but also a hip town.
Chicago, as we know, has been the second city in reference to New York City, but the Bulls and Michael Jordan always seem to go through New York, always seem to beat the Knicks to get to the championship. And that gave the city a great feeling of pride I don't think it had had, not in modern times anyway.
But then Jordan retired.
It's sad that I have to, that I'm leaving the game, but it's happy because my life is starting to go into a whole nother stage.
In my life, I don't know that I ever saw another athlete with such a remarkable set of qualities of mind, body, and spirit.
His leaving the Bulls cast a kind of curse over the Chicago sports scene, which 7 years later remains in search of its mojo.
In the year 2004, Chicago did not host a single playoff game in any sport, unless you count the minor league hockey team, the Wolves.
A town whose teams have frequently shown talent, only to lack Jordan's remarkable ability to close out an opponent when it counted.
He always went after the jugular, and he always got his man.
The thing that Michael Jordan brought the entire time, every time he stepped on the basketball court, was greatness.
Pretty goodness is about the best Chicago's been able to hope for, as even pop culture has noted.
Hey, come on, they're on fire tonight. They're only down by 17.
Let's go play outside. The Bulls stink.
What? They do not stink. They're just rebuilding this year.
The Blackhawks ended a 28-year playoff run in '98, and since then have made the postseason just once. The White Sox were swept by Seattle in their sole post-Jordan ALDS appearance. And amid front office turmoil and easily bruised QBs, the Bears have had only one winning season since '98.
I guess we went through heaven and we have to go through hell also to appreciate what we had.
And for Cub fans, hell has been just an out or 5 outs away.
Swung on! Deep! Art McGuire! You got company!
Back in '98, it seemed as though the sun would always be shining at Wrigley Field.
In fact, the very month that the Bulls won their final championship back in June of 1998, Sammy Sosa hit 20 home runs.
That fabled 66 home run season would produce eventual disappointment and familiar heartbreak.
Swung on, fly ball left field. Brant Brown going back. Brant Brown drops the ball. He drops the ball.
But it was bliss compared to what was to come in postseason 2003. Agony for a fan base that'll never forgive or forget the actions of one of its own.
Got a left field line, reaching into the stands and couldn't get it, and he's lit it with a fan. The Billy Goat curse.
Off the field, there were self-inflicted wounds and far more serious losses. Famed columnist and Jordan biographer Bob Greene resigned his newspaper job after accusations of sexual impropriety. First-round Bulls pick Jay Williams wrecked his leg in a motorcycle accident. And film critic Gene Siskel, a devout Jordan fan, died too young of a brain tumor. Now, after years of oblivion, the Bulls are better.
All over the city, people are doing stupid things because they believe, Cheryl. And if there's enough stupid people out there acting like idiots and doing stupid things, then maybe we can bring the Bulls all the way to the playoffs.
But 7 years later, those who saw the glory that was Jordan know the real score.
For us to essentially have a dynasty in this town meant a huge amount, I think, for people, and Michael represented that.
When will Chicago see championships again? The Bears are nowhere close. Sosa's gone. The White Sox are a middle market team with that kind of a payroll. Hockey's gone. And the Bulls are finally starting to win after a 6-year rebuilding process. So Chicago after Jordan, Losersville.
The Bulls do have as many wins this year as they did all of last year. Part 4 of our series, The Curse of Jordan. Michael's impact on LeBron.